Welcome back. Today, we are diving into a real head-scratcher in the Kubernetes world. It's kind of like a detective story, and we're calling it The Mystery of the Missing Pod.
So, picture this. You've got this massive digital city running thousands of tiny little applications, our pods. They're all buzzing with activity. But how in the world does anyone find the right one? How do you send a message when the address of every building is constantly changing? That's the puzzle we are going to solve right now.
You'll remember from our last explainer, we met the architects of the city, the workloads, that build and manage all our pods. But this super elegant system hides a secret, a pretty chaotic one actually, that could bring the whole thing crashing down. And here is the problem. Pods are designed to be temporary. They're ephemeral. Just think of them like light bulbs. They do their job, they burn out, and then they get replaced. Kubernetes is amazing at swapping them out on the fly to keep your app running. But this creates a huge issue. And that issue is all about addresses. See, every single time a new pod spins up, boom, it gets a brand new, totally unique IP address. And when a pod dies, that address is gone forever. Its replacement gets a completely different one. You see where this is going, right? This brings us to our central mystery. If the addresses are always in flux, how can anything connect reliably? It's like trying to mail a package to a friend who moves to a new apartment every 5 minutes. It's basically impossible. Well, every great mystery needs a hero. And today, our hero is the Kubernetes service. Now, the official definition calls it an abstraction to help you expose groups of pods over a network. Okay, that sounds a little academic. What does that actually mean? Let's try an analogy. Think of the service as a lighthouse. The ships, which are our network requests, they don't try to find the individual docks, our pods, which are constantly shifting around. Nope, they just aim for the single, unwavering light of the lighthouse. It's the one permanent, reliable address in a constantly changing sea. And this is the fundamental idea. You never talk to the pods directly. You just pretend their temporary addresses don't even exist. Instead, you send all your requests to one place and one place only, the stable, unchanging IP address of the service. The service handles the rest. So how does it work? It's actually pretty simple. First, a request comes in to the service's permanent address. Then, the service looks at its list of healthy, ready-to-go pods. And finally, it just forwards the request to one of them. It's like a brilliant receptionist who knows exactly who's at their desk and ready to take a call.
But it's way more than just a receptionist. It's also traffic cop. This is what we call load balancing. The service is constantly checking on the health of its pods, making sure it only sends work to ones that are actually ready, and it spreads the requests out so no single pod gets totally swamped.
And this is where the real magic of scale happens. One single service address can be the front door for 5, 10, maybe even 1,000 pods. It doesn't matter. It just seamlessly distributes the traffic across all of them, which lets your application handle a massive amount of work.
This one simple idea is what makes Kubernetes so incredibly powerful. Is your traffic spiking? No problem. The system just adds more pods and the service instantly starts sending them work. What if a pod crashes? The service immediately yanks it out of rotation. From the outside looking in, nothing ever breaks. The application just works. Okay, so this is perfect for all the communication happening inside our cluster. But what about the rest of the world? I mean, how do we let actual users on the internet connect to our application?
Well, Kubernetes gives us 3 main flavors for this, called service types. First, you've got ClusterIP. This is the default, and it's for internal traffic only. Think of a private database that only your other applications should be able to talk to. Next up is NodePort. This is mostly for development and testing. It basically pokes a hole on your server so you can get to your app easily. And finally, the big one, LoadBalancer. This is how you go public. It hooks into your cloud provider, like AWS or Google, and gets you a real public-facing IP address that anyone on the internet can hit. So we've established that services are perfect for connecting to a group of pods. But what if one pod needs to talk directly to another specific pod? We said you shouldn't use their IP addresses, or did we? This is where the true magic of Kubernetes networking really shines.
So get this. Here's the secret. The entire Kubernetes network is flat. What that means is any pod can talk directly to any other pod using its actual IP address. There are no complex firewalls or weird network hoops to jump through. It's just a simple, open communication highway. Now, this might sound like a small detail, but it is a much bigger deal than you'd think. It means developers don't have to waste time wrestling with complicated networking rules. A pod can be treated just like a regular computer on a simple network. For building really complex applications, this simplicity is an absolute game changer. Okay, let's bring it all together and just boil it down. On one side, we have pods. They're ephemeral, they're disposable, and they have constantly changing IP addresses. And on the other side, we have services. They are stable, they are durable, and they give you that one permanent IP address.
And it's this beautiful separation, this abstraction, the chaotic temporary pods on one side and the calm, stable services on the other that really makes everything possible. It's the reason applications in Kubernetes can scale up, heal themselves, and move around, all without ever dropping a single connection.
All right, so let's do a super fast recap. What are the key takeaways? 1, pods are temporary and they're the ones that run your app. 2, services give you that stable network endpoint, that signpost that never moves. 3, services act as a load balancer, spreading the traffic out. And 4, the whole thing is built on a flat network, an open road where any pod can talk to any other pod.
So we've solved the networking mystery. Awesome. But in doing so, we've kind of stumbled into a brand new one. If pods can just vanish at any moment, what happens to their data? How can you possibly run a database if the files it writes could just disappear? Well, that's a story for our next explainer on Kubernetes storage.
I'll see you there.